Read in your case study workbook. You are the in charge of a COVID-19 ward in a public health center. It means PHC. Your team is working tirelessly to provide effective care interventions to the admitted patients. However, in the absence of a potent vaccine, the numbers of positive cases are soaring by every passing day. The communicable nature of the disease has created a panic among the healthcare workers of your team, and most of them are fear stricken by the thought that they may acquire the virus anytime due to the presence of positive patients in their vicinity. Amidst this atmosphere of fear, news arrives that one of your team members has fallen prey to the novel coronavirus. Faced with the crisis, the other members of your team plead with you to consider their leave from the ward and express their inability to continue their care work. Now, the case is a very straightforward case. The case puts you in a decision-making scenario and also gives you a leadership position. Now, look here, it says that you are in charge of a COVID-19 ward. And what happens is that your team is working tirelessly to take care of patients who are suffering from the virus. But what happens is that the positive cases are increasing every day, and your team is also fearful because of the communicable nature of the disease. And amidst this environment of fear, news arrives that some of your team members have acquired the virus. Okay, so those who have yet not acquired the virus, they express their inability. They say that we cannot continue our work because maybe they have a family to take care of, maybe they are the sole breadwinner, could be anything, right? So what are the questions that are associated with this case? In such trying circumstances, what will be your response? Examine the qualities and values that a public servant should possess to manage such a situation. Now, if you see very carefully, you see that in this case, everything depends on you. It means, is it a social issue kind of case? It's an issue kind of case, but it also puts you in a leadership position. ठीक है? तो हम क्या करेंगे सबसे पहले? We will try to identify the stakeholders. Okay, so you do that for me. Tell me, who are the stakeholders here in this case? Just call them out. Obviously, first you. Okay, you serving as the in charge, and then second, patients. Okay, patients, team members. Okay, who else? Okay, don't you find any other kind of stakeholders here? Direct stakeholder. Tell me the specific stakeholders here in this case. How many specific stakeholders? Remember the specific stakeholders? Specific stakeholders वो थे जो बिल्कुल केस में जिनके बारे में मेंशन किया हुआ है. तो किसके बारे में मेंशन किया हुआ है? पहली लाइन से देखो. फर्स्ट, शुरू से देखो. सबसे पहले आप खुद हैं. ठीक है, you. Then who is the next specific stakeholder? If you see, team. Then patients. Then the public health care center itself. The institution itself is a stakeholder. Do you understand that? And then you can say government at large and society. They all become stakeholders. You can add other stakeholders as well. So look at this. These are the stakeholders. You, who is in charge of the ward, your team of healthcare workers, COVID patients, public health care center. The center itself becomes specific stakeholder, and the generic stakeholders are society and government. Now, see, here itself, you can write some duties or rights, etc., to give a more insight into the case. Like, say, for example, the society has certain rights, like the right to public services. Health service is a public service, and a right to have medical relief. That's also a human right, basic human right. And the government has certain duties, like the duty to provide medical services. Do you get it? Now, let's take a look at the questions. The question is, in such trying circumstances, what will be your response? Examine the qualities and values that a public servant should possess to manage such a situation. Before we come to these questions, tell me, is there any conflict of interest or ethical dilemma that you see in this case? Bolo, kaun sa dilemma hai? Okay. Between duty and rights of patients. इसके अलावा और कोई conflict of interest नहीं है? Personal health versus ओके, सेल्फ प्रिजर्वेशन वर्सेस ड्यूटी, ये तो एक हो गया कॉन्फ्लिक्ट, और इसके अलावा ओके, यस, ठीक है, और कुछ? Think of the conflicts of interest. I told you that from today onwards, you people will be in the lead. I'll be just a facilitator. Okay? अब अगर मेरे लिए बड़ा आसान है कि मैं तुरंत स्पून फीडिंग करूं और चला जाऊं, बट इससे आपकी केस स्टडी राइटिंग नहीं अच्छी होगी. Have you revised the class of yesterday? Last class, whatever we conducted? Yes? You know all the steps to write a case study? Okay, so tell me the conflicts of interest and ethical paradoxes, if any, in this case. First, self-preservation versus duty. Any other? Compassion versus leadership. Leadership का पार्ट ही होगा compassion, तो कोई लीडर हो सकता है जो compassionate ना हो? सोचो, और क्या है, और क्या एथिकल पैराडॉक्स देखते हो आप इसमें? How not giving services would be more efficient? हाँ. Okay. Anything else? Anything else? Okay, what is the major conflict of interest? Yes, go on. Go on. Duty to protect the life of healthcare workers or safety of healthcare workers versus safety of the patients or duty towards the patient. Now see, this is a classic case of what? Self-preservation versus public duty. And what should you hold here in these kind of cases? Self-preservation versus public duty. Again, I told you, listen to the question very carefully, then only answer. What should you hold between self-preservation and public duty? आप ही नहीं होगे तो क्या public duty करोगे? अगर आपको COVID हो गया and you get affected by COVID, then who will perform the duty? अच्छा, एक बात बताओ, समझ लो आप IPS ऑफिसर हो, पहले दिन आप ऑफिस में जाते हो, आपको एक फोन आता है, इस फोन में ये आपको दूसरी तरफ से आवाज आती है कि सड़क पर राइट्स हो गए हैं, लोग एक दूसरे को पत्थर मार रहे हैं, तो क्या आप स्पॉट पे पहुंच जाओगे? Will you go to the spot immediately? It would be the worst kind of decision making if you go to the spot immediately. You can get hurt. You must first analyze the situation and then give a response. Going directly to the spot would be a reaction. Do you get it? So under such circumstances, first you have to see that what is the clash? Where is the value clash? Or any imperative, any principle, are they coming at loggerheads against each other? So just helping you because we are still in the early days. So look at this. These are the conflicts of interest. Personal interest versus public interest. Okay. Responsibility towards the team members versus commitment to social cause. Is that not a conflict? This is a conflict. And if you see the ethical dilemmas, the dilemma would be self-preservation versus dedication to duty. That's a dilemma. What should you do? Because both are equally calling. And second is empathy towards the team members versus compassion towards the vulnerable sections. You can show empathy towards all, isn't it? Isn't it possible? And when you show compassion towards all, there could be a clash of compassion. So here you're showing empathy and compassion on one hand towards your team members. On the other hand, you're showing empathy and compassion towards the vulnerable sections. तो देखो यहाँ पे वैसे तो कॉन्फ्लिक्ट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट और एथिकल डिलेमा नहीं पूछा गया क्वेश्चन में, बट मेक दिस अ प्रैक्टिस to identify the conflict of interest and ethical dilemmas as far as possible in every case, because the moment you do that, you will be able to understand the case in a better way and your response will also be more sound. It would be having a greater impact on the mind of the evaluator. ठीक है, तो अब फिर से चलते हैं क्वेश्चंस पे. What were the questions? And see, everything starts with the identification of the stakeholders. If you fail to identify the stakeholders, you will fail to identify the interests. If you fail to identify the interests, you will fail to identify the conflict of interest. इसलिए stakeholder identification is the key to case study answer writing. Then look at this. In such trying circumstances, what does this mean? This word means trying circumstances. Trying circumstances means what? Means what? Trying means what? What is the meaning of the word trying here? Trying means you are put under trial. What kind of trial? Ethical trial. Do you understand that? It's an ethically challenging situation. Trying circumstances means ethically challenging situation. In such trying circumstances, what will be your response? Question में hint है. पूछा नहीं जा रहा है, what will be your reaction? The question is, what will be your response? Response is always well thought out. Keep this in mind. And then the other part of the question reads as, examine the qualities and values that a public servant should possess to manage such a situation. Now, you see, it would be better to attempt the latter half of the question first and then tell the evaluator what will be your response. Because once you give your response, then identifying the responsibilities or qualities or values will not attract the evaluator that much because you have already told him what you are going to do. So it is always advisable that you attempt these parts of the questions first and hold your response for the latter half of your answer. Because when you give the response at the end, it creates a lot of impression because you have already built up the background and we can understand that in which direction or in which ethical direction you are taking the reader or the evaluator as the case may be. ठीक है, तो हम देख लेते हैं कि what qualities and values a public servant should possess to manage such a situation. Tell me 5 qualities that the public servant should possess. Qualities, values नहीं बोलना. बोलो. Work commitment. Okay. 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 Empathy, compassion, justice, all values. Qualities की बात हो रही है. Leadership quality एक हो गई. See, dedication to public service, compassion, justice, empathy, these are all values. Remember? We read them under foundational values for civil services. I'm asking for qualities. What are qualities? What is quality? What is the meaning of the word quality? Quality का मतलब क्या होता है? If you say that this person is a person of quality or this person has several qualities, what does that mean? Time management is a quality, but what is quality? What is the meaning of the word quality? Quality, positive traits are virtues. Quality is something that distinguishes the person. Do you understand that? That is a quality. Something that can become a determinant factor for identifying the person. That is a quality. Quality is something that can be appreciated by others. Quality is an ability. समझ में आ रहा है? यही quality है. So you can see quality in various ways. So one quality could be you have to showcase leadership quality here or any skills. So you can highlight the skills and abilities as part of quality. Do not highlight the values as part of quality. ध्यान से पढ़ना question को. अगर आपने value लिख कर आ गए आप सारे, you are not going to fetch marks. Keep this in mind. ठीक है? तो बताओ अब मुझे 5 qualities. Again, I am giving you the opportunity. Leadership quality, first quality. Any other quality? Okay, raise your hands and speak so that the whole class can benefit. Yes. Thoughtfulness and mindfulness, okay. Emotional intelligence. Persuasion, you also said persuasion. Yes, that's also a skill. Benevolence, okay. Yes, go on. Go on. Prudence. Prudence is a value, dear. Prudence is not a quality.
Emotional intelligence.
Yes, emotional intelligence is a quality. Leading by example is part of leadership quality. Responsibility is a value. Self-preservation is a value. Huh? Efficiency, yes, it's an ability. Yes, bolo. Go one more time. Management. Yes, okay. अब समझ में आ रहा है कि थोड़ी अच्छा चलो वैल्यू आइडेंटिफाई कर दो मेरे लिए, ये तो आसान होगा आपके लिए. 5 करने बस. कंपैशन, डेडिकेशन टू पब्लिक सर्विस. अब कंपैशन किया तो एम्पैथी मत करो, क्योंकि वो तो एक लोअर वैल्यू हो गया उससे. कंपैशन, डेडिकेशन टू पब्लिक सर्विस, इंटीग्रिटी, ऑब्जेक्टिविटी. ओके, एक और कर दो चलो. रेस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी. यस, रेस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी तो होगा ही ना, एक बहुत बड़ा वैल्यू है ये. ठीक है, चलो. अब जैसे मैं कह रहा हूं कि these are early days, so I'm assisting you a lot, but as we progress I am going to reduce my assistance. Look at this, the values, let's talk about them first. Empathy, compassion, dedication to public services, integrity, temperance, generosity, selflessness and prudence. Remember, सेल्फलेसनेस किसने हाईलाइट किया है? नोलन कमिटी ने भी हाईलाइट किया है. तो आप 5 वैल्यू भी आइडेंटिफाई करोगे तो बहुत है, 3 करोगे तो भी बहुत है. ठीक है, बिकॉज यू हैव टू एक्सप्लेन देम इन द कॉन्टेक्स्ट. बट इफ यू कैन हाईलाइट 7 वैल्यूज, यू आर लैंडिंग इनटू द राइट टेरिटरी जो आप एक्सपेक्ट कर रहे हो. याद रखना, अगर केस स्टडी अच्छे से लिखा तो 20 मार्क्स का होता है. यू कैन एंड अप विथ अप टू 14.5, and that would be tremendous if you want to score more than 140 in GS paper 4, which is only possible in GS paper 4, not possible in any other GS paper. You have to be good with case studies. ठीक है, तो चलो क्वालिटीज अब देख लेते हैं. लुक एट द क्वालिटीज. लीडरशिप इज अ क्वालिटी. इंटरपर्सनल कम्युनिकेशन स्किल्स, दैट वुड बी अ quality here. Emotional intelligence, again a quality. Ability to carry responsibility and enforce accountability, again see here I have used the word ability. जैसे ability कर दिया मैंने उसको, तो इसको quality बना दिया कुछ value integrate करके. Ability to respond under a crisis, that's also a quality. Fortitude, it's a value but it's a quality as well. Courage is a quality. Sense of social justice and persuasion skills. तो आप चाहो तो इसमें से कुछ 3 या 4 भी कर सकते हो, that would be enough. But here I am giving you a comprehensive way to handle the case studies. Okay, so the values should always be, say, compassion, integrity, ऐसे values हमेशा पिक करना. और जब क्वालिटीज की बात आए तो लीडरशिप क्वालिटी, सोशल जस्टिस से रिलेटेड, सेंस ऑफ सोशल जस्टिस, इस तरीके की क्वालिटीज पिक करना, सो दैट आपका जो माइंडसेट कैरी हो इवैल्यूएटर को, वो ऐसा हो दैट दिस पर्सन अपहोल्ड्स पब्लिक इंटरेस्ट, दिस पर्सन इज विलिंग टू गार्ड पब्लिक ट्रस्ट एंड प्रमोट पब्लिक इंटरेस्ट. ठीक है, तो अब चलते हैं हम क्वेश्चन पे. ये तो सिर्फ जिसे कहते हैं ना बैकग्राउंड बिल्डिंग हुआ सारा. डोंट वरी, आई विल गिव यू दिस एंटायर PDF once the class is over. Focus on the understanding part. वैल्यू है बट वो क्वालिटी भी बता सकते हो आप उसको. ठीक है, a value is something which you want to uphold. Like this phone is valuable to me at least, so I'll uphold it, I'll not lose it. So a value is something like that. Okay, quality is your ability under a given situation. Or quality, yes, quality you may develop with the help of your values. Okay, like with prudence you can develop leadership quality. You require wisdom for being a leader, isn't it? You require courage to be a leader. ठीक है, अब यहां पे मुझे आपका रिस्पॉन्स चाहिए. केस बड़ा सिंपल था. केस इज दैट you are giving your services along with your team in a medical ward where COVID patients are admitted. Now, no vaccine yet, got it? And therefore, your team members are fearful that they may acquire the virus. Some of them have, and therefore, the other members, they are asking you, or they are telling you that we cannot continue our services in this ward. We cannot continue our services in this ward because we fear that we may also acquire the virus. And you are in the leadership position. On one hand, you see every day that the number of patients are growing. On the other hand, you see that your team is developing an attitude which is an attitude full of fear. So how do you respond under this situation in such trying circumstances? Because there are so many value clash, conflict of interest, ethical dilemma, all those kind of things. In such trying circumstances, what will be your response? I give all of you 30 seconds to tell me what will be your response. Utilize these 30 seconds and then raise your hands and then only speak. Okay, before you answer, let me ask you two vital questions. First question is, how many of you will give leave to your team members under such situation? How many of you will give leave कि हाँ ठीक है आप जा सकते हैं, because there is a direct threat to your life and right to life is a fundamental right. ठीक है, so how many of you under these circumstances will order a leave? Raise your hands. Okay, some of them will order leave. How many of you will say that no, you have to continue your work? Raise your hands. You have to continue your work. Okay. Now raise your hands with whatever responses you are ready with. Yeah, go on. Hmm. Hmm. Okay. 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 Yes. What else? हाँ बोलो. Hmm. Hmm. Okay. Okay. Protective gear, contactless means, and reminding them of the code which the medical people they the oath more or less. Yes. और बोलो. No other response? What should be your first step under such situation? ऐसे सोचते हैं चलो. जब भी response की बात होगी तो response हमेशा step wise सोचना. कभी भी response ऐसे मत सोचना कि एक बार में मुझे एक response देना है. Step wise response सोचना और 3 या 4 या 5 step काफी होंगे. ठीक है, तो पहला step क्या होना चाहिए ऐसा situation में? Okay. Now, your team is fear stricken. Can you understand that? That can happen with respect to a natural disaster also. The team is fear stricken. They come to you. Imagine yourself in that position. Imagine the entire ward is under your charge. People are dying. आप समझ सकते हो? यहाँ पे अगर इलेक्ट्रिसिटी नहीं आता है किसी के घर में तो लोग हल्ला कर देते हैं. People are dying. How can you not perform your duty? That's out of the question. You have to perform your duty. But how? That's the question, real question. Yes. Hmm. Hmm. That might be possible, but might not be the most acceptable step when you are initiating the entire persuasion process, highlighting them the examples of moral exemplars because they are fear stricken. So they might not appreciate your arguments. They are already under a kind of emotional weightage. The emotion is fear, and fear is a strong emotion, you know. Yes, I'll give you the opportunity here. Hold on. Hmm. Hmm. Okay, you'll remind them of their duty. Okay, yes, go on. What you were saying there. Okay. The reason is quite open in the public. The virus. The virus is the reason for fear. Okay, see. What can be a possible response? I'm not saying this should be the only response, but one of the possible responses. First, you have to hold an emergency meeting immediately. क्योंकि ये परसेप्शन मैनेजमेंट का खेल है पहला तो. तो आपको एक इमरजेंसी मीटिंग बुलानी पड़ेगी पहले. Then arrange for safety kits and other adequate safety measures, whatever you can, because you have to ensure their safety as well. They are doing public service. Then create and enforce SOPs. SOPs means standard operating procedures. It means the do's and don'ts. You highlight it to them that under these circumstances what you have to do. And then write to higher authorities and suggest some ameliorative steps without compromising the interests of any stakeholders. मतलब क्या हुआ इसका कि आपने समझ लो मेडिकल काउंसिल ऑफ इंडिया को लिख दिया, या आपने जो डीन है इंस्टीट्यूशन के उनको लिख दिया, या हेल्थ मिनिस्टर को लिख दिया आपने कि ऐसी सिचुएशन है, वी नीड एक्स्ट्रा अपार्टस और वी नीड सम एक्स्ट्रा रिसोर्सेस. बिकॉज सी, when I was creating this case study question, at that time we were in the middle of the pandemic और वैक्सीन नहीं आई थी. ठीक है. So I just read a news item in one of the newspapers where some of the health workers, they were giving their services despite the absence of vaccine. And I was very impressed by the kind of fortitude that they exhibited, and that just propelled me to write this case study question. So these are, you see, could be good responses under the given situation. To understand it one more time, सबसे पहले आप एक emergency meeting बुलाएंगे, आप सबको इकट्ठा करेंगे, जितने भी आपके टीम वाले, आप उनको सुनेंगे. A good leader is one who listens first. ऐसा नहीं कि आप शुरू हो जाएंगे कि ऐसा करना है वैसा करना है. You have to listen to their fears. Then you have to do what? Perception management. They have developed a bad perception or their attitude has changed. आप समझ रहे हो? So you have to cause what? You have to cause a transformation of attitude. That you can do by instrumental conditioning, classical conditioning, social influence, persuasion, कुछ भी करके आप कर सकते हो. पहला. Second, ये तो आपने उनको मैनेज कर दिया, उनके दिमाग को ठंडा कर दिया, लेकिन अब उनकी प्रोटेक्शन कैसे करोगे? सेफ्टी सिक्योरिटी कैसे करोगे? For that, you have to arrange the safety kits and other adequate safety measures. Kits means the gears, the devices, etc. Safety measures means what they should do under the given situation. फिर आप कुछ SOPs बनाओ. SOPs का मतलब होता है Standard Operating Procedures. It means if this situation arises, then you must do this. It means provide them a good catalog that they must know that if this happens, if one of the members get affected by the virus, then what should others do? How should others interact with that member? Suppose that member is the person who is testing the samples, the blood samples, or whatever samples which are necessary to identify the virus. He's testing. He is the only person who knows how to find out that whether the body is infected by the virus or not. He himself gets infected. Then what should we do? We must allow him also a space. So ऐसे कुछ आप standard operating procedures बनाओ, and then at the same time आप उनको enforce भी करो अच्छे से. और यहीं पे रुको मत. You must always think like a general. Think like a general in the army. So you are fighting a war. This is a war-like situation. So you are fighting a war. You are motivating your team, your soldiers. You are arranging for their safety. You are making a war plan and implementing it. But at the same time, you are writing to the government or to the sovereign for extra reinforcements. War का तो यही होता है strategy अच्छा. So that's what you need to do. How can we justify this? We can justify this with ethical altruism. You can pick altruism, utilitarianism, any of them. You can go for Carol Gilligan's ethics of care, Gandhian ethics of self-sacrifice. You can go with that also, and W.D. Ross, duty-based ethics. Remember, there are so many duties, like duty of beneficence, duty of non-maleficence, duty of reparation, duty of recompense. तो ये सारी आपको ड्यूटी ऑफ जस्टिस वो सब आप लगा सकते हो. यू कैन ऐड मोर एथिकल जस्टिफिकेशंस एज वेल. ठीक है. सो यस, yes, but that might not always be practical, dear, because do not suggest something immediately which creates a burden, resource burden on the government. ठीक है. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Categorical imperative. Categorical imperative of remembrance. You can definitely do that. Okay. Now, I have not included Kant here. जानबूझ करके किया है मैंने, जिससे कि मैं close कर सकूं Kant से. देखो. What is the maxim? Act in such a way that you treat humanity, whether in your own person or in the other person or any other, never merely as a means to an end, but always at the same time as an end. Immanuel Kant. This is which maxim? Maxim of humanity, or the formula of humanity, a part of categorical imperative. ठीक है? तो आप कभी भी नहीं करना चाहोगे ऐसे that you are treating somebody as a means. You must treat everybody as an end, complete person in himself or herself. That's how you close the case study. ठीक है? These are hints. I have just given you hints. आप क्या करोगे? That when the class is over, you will utilize these hints and you will write it down in your case study workbook. अगर आप नहीं लिखते हो डेली टू का डेली, तो फिर मुश्किल हो जाएगा. फिर एक बार कोर्स भी खत्म हो जाएगा, आप ये सारी शीट्स इकट्ठा करके रख दोगे, you will never write, you will never improve. Okay? Read them and write them in your own words. Don't use my words while you are writing. That's why I have refrained, jitna ho sake, I have refrained from writing full sentences. I have only written some words, key words, so that you can frame sentences around those words. Is this case clear to everybody? Okay, good.